Hey there, okay, listen, this is Andy Werner with Wingman Investing. And hey, listen, I wanted to give you guys a quick tip here since this is a real estate vlog of sorts. And, it's about me giving my tips and tricks, kind of my journey through real estate investing that I've been doing for the past 18 years. And it's been quite an incredible ride, up and down and sideways, and who knows, we've been all over the place, but a pretty amazing opportunity and pretty amazing things that have been happening of late. And I want to share some of those experiences that are kind of coming back around. For those of you that are struggling right now, for those of you that are having a challenge getting deals, having a hard time, first of all, I want to say kudos to you for sticking with it. Kudos to you for even getting out there, getting off the couch, and taking action. Because listen, nothing ever is going to change in your life if you don't take action. And so taking action really is the first step. But listen, if you've been doing some marketing, you've been talking to sellers, you have been experiencing some of those talks with sellers recently, and you keep falling on your face. Maybe you're just not quite getting the deal. And we'll talk about this in a future vlog about you either have a leads problem or you have a conversion problem. Those are really only two problems if you're not getting deals. So you either don't have enough leads, which means you're not doing enough marketing, or if you have enough leads and you're not getting deals, it means you're not converting. So you have a conversion problem, which means you're not building enough rapport, you're not trustworthy enough, you're not getting to the problem-solving end of solving the seller's problem. So we'll talk about that in a later post, but right now, what I want to share with you is a little bit about seller financing. See, I'm starting to see this being a little bit of a trend going in the marketplace right now because I don't think anybody else is really paying close attention to this. So for example, we've had this deal that my acquisition guy, Zach, has been working on here for just a little while. And by a little while, I mean, I don't know, probably 30 to 45 days since we got the first initial call off of our mailing. And we couldn't get the seller to meet us at the price that we wanted to. And there was lots of reasons why. The reasons why really aren't significant to this particular example, but there's all kinds of reasons why people aren't interested in your price. And so maybe they're just not desperate enough. They don't need to take the haircut. Their situation isn't such where they really actually need that. But in this case, this seller really wanted to sell. They just didn't want to sell for the price that we wanted, and that price was just a little too skinny for us. There's still some margin, there was still some equity there, but it wasn't enough for us to do a straight wholesale deal or a straight fix and flip. And so it was starting to look like, hey, maybe this is a deal we just need to refer over to our realtor, and then we can make a referral fee on the commission when we refer that over. But rather than do that, because that's kind of small change, I talked to my acquisitions guy, Zach, and I said, hey, listen, bud, why don't you go to them and present them with the opportunity to do seller financing? And the reason why we would want to do seller financing in this particular case is because, well, this particular owner owns the property for cash, so that means they own it outright. And listen, if we buy that house for cash, if we were to buy that house for cash, the situation would be that they would get that house, they'd get that cash, and then many people don't know what they would do with that cash afterwards, right? So maybe that cash has been in that property for a very long time. Maybe they've owned the property for a very long time. Whether they've owned the property for a very long time or not, they still have a problem with that cash. See, most people don't know how to invest. Nobody's taught that in school. And so because of that, and they don't know how to invest, they're like, well, shoot, what am I going to do with that money? I'm just going to put it in my checking account, right? Or I'm going to put it in a CD or a money market where it's going to make like less than 1% interest. It's pretty lame. So if we present them this opportunity where we say, hey, listen, how about we buy the property? And we buy the property at the price you want, but you finance me 100% of that purchase price. And in my example that I'm using, where we're working with this particular seller, we offered 100% financing for the purchase price that they wanted at 5.5% interest, fully amortized over 30 years with a 5-year call. So what that means is they're going to finance me. The loan is going to be just like a traditional mortgage where it's amortized over 30 years. And so the payment, the mortgage will be paying down over time. And at the 5-year mark, I have to pay off. All right, so I either have to sell the property and pay off the loan, or I'd have to refinance it or whatever. And so it gives me a lot of options, but it also gives the seller an endpoint that's some point in the future. 5 years from now, I get all my capital back. In the meantime, I get to make some interest. I get to make some income. But the second benefit to the seller is that it's a tax benefit to them, potentially, all right? And so what that is, and again, contact your tax professional. I'm not a tax professional. I'm not a CPA. I just play one here on TV, right? But the reason why somebody would get a tax benefit here is because they're not realizing all that income all at once, right? So they're carrying that money back, and so they're only receiving income on a monthly basis in the form of interest and the paying down of that loan in chunks over time, right? So if I write the thing correctly, the carryback correctly, there's no prepayment penalty. So I could do a fix and flip on this, and if there's enough equity, I could sell this property, let's say 3 months from now, and no harm, no foul, and I got a 5.5%, 100% loan on the property. I didn't have to go qualify for the loan. I didn't have to go talk to a mortgage broker. This is a heck of a lot better than hard money interest rates, which are anywhere, depending on your market, from 10 to 18% interest plus points, right? So this is a huge, huge, huge opportunity for us to be able to get a deal with a really low interest rate. And I'm just using the example of the one we're working on right now, where we've gotten the seller to verbally agree to 5.5%, which is awesome. But what if it was 8%? What if it was 7%? I mean, really, it's up to you and the seller to come to an agreement on that. Typically, the seller is just like a car buyer. They want a certain payment. They've got a certain payment in their mind. The interest rate to them is really inconsequential. So in this case, I get great financing on a property that I don't have to go qualify for. We can close on the seller's terms, on my terms, and listen, the seller gets their price. I still get a property with equity, and now what can I do? Well, I can go rent that property right now and cash flow it. If I just want to regularly rent it, just on a normal 12-month lease situation, because I've got great financing in place. So I can go do a 12-month lease situation. It will cash flow from day one, which is awesome. If I want to make even more cash flow, which I'm considering because this is in a resort town, I can do an Airbnb. So I'm definitely exploring that option as well to see if that's going to be more favorable from an income standpoint and if the headache factor of that would warrant it. And then there's, last but not least, I could actually still wholetail this property right now because this is such good condition. I could actually just put it on the market and make a quick 15, 20 grand on it probably in the next 2 to 3 months. No harm, no foul. I'm actually looking probably more at the rental market side of it because I see that the market's still going up. I think we've got a few more years left of appreciation, and why not cash flow and realize some appreciation over the next few years? So those are just some examples of thinking outside the box, using seller financing on those deals that otherwise look like they might not be a deal. These are the type of things that we can do when we're thinking outside the box as real estate investors. So don't just think about a transaction as, oh, I have to get it for this price and I have to sell it for this price, otherwise the deal's dead. There's other ways that we can work deals. And sometimes, if it's not seller financing because they don't own the property for cash, we could do what's called a subject to. And a subject to is really just them wrapping their underlying mortgage. And we can talk about that in a future YouTube video here. So anyway, this is Wingman Werner. You can always follow me on Instagram at Wingman Werner, at Wingman Werner on Instagram. Love giving little tidbits and tips up on there, plus showing you a little bit about my flying and just other things I got going on any given day. But also these video vlogs, I'm able to do a little bit more behind the scenes and let you in on a little bit more of the everyday deals and the way that we're thinking and stretching and getting outside the box. So I want to be your wingman in the real estate investing business. And if you've got any questions, post them on Instagram at Wingman Werner. You can post them here on YouTube. You can always send me an email, shoot me a text. I'm not hard to find. I'm not hiding. Hope you're doing well, and we'll see you soon.